Hi, I'm Tim with League Magazine, and with me I've got Jason Ye, the head of European Esports for Riot.
Hi, how's it going?
Thank you for joining us today. One thing that pretty much set you guys apart right from the beginning with Riot was the focus on spectating.
I think, again, it goes back to, like, we consider this a separate entertainment experience, and it requires really different competencies than traditional game publishing and what other game developers do. First one is actually the production quality of both the live event and the broadcast. If you look at the type of staffs that we have working, whether it's in LA, in Berlin, all across the world where we do esports, the teams working on like the LCS look almost like a television production company. Like we're producing a TV show, and I think we've tried to continue to make the actual act of watching, both live and also online, as high quality as possible, whether that's with the actual matches and watching the shoutcasting the matches, whether that's doing like more professional pre-show, doing other things like PTL. I think at the end of the day, this goes both for the game itself and also for esports. Like, it has to be fun, it has to be authentic, and it has to be, like, if players don't enjoy it, they will let us know by not playing and by not watching. So for us, like, and also everyone at Riot being true both players of the game and also big fans of esports, I think at the end of the day, we have to stay true to like what our players want and to continue to try to entertain them.
The athletes that we see change teams rather more often than you see in normal sports. You know, do you think this might keep some people from viewing, or are we just looking at the growing pains of a type of sport that we've yet really to adapt to?
I think we're still very early. It's very hard to say definitively, like, is the turnover high? Like, how stable is the scene? I think there are a lot of things that we can do. There are a lot of things that the organizations that ultimately support the players can do to make it more stable. I think they're great examples of guys like Froggen, like even Expeke, who built a huge fan base and really allowed Fnatic to establish themselves as like a European power in League. He left the team and started his own team, Origin, this past split, and is requalified for the LCS. And so you're seeing, like, as with any sport, like if you're truly dedicated to honing and perfecting your craft and staying at the top of the game, like you can have sustained success. And so I think it depends a lot on the person, but I absolutely think that the tools are in place to allow people who really have that competitive hunger to stay at the top of the game. At the end of the day, like we're where we are today, and esports for League is as big as it is because the players themselves have made it successful. They've not only played the game for countless hours, but they've shown to us that they're willing to tune in and actually watch and engage in the esport element almost like by itself as a standalone experience. And so it's very difficult to say like how long, like what is the lifespan. I think the lifespan is as long as it's entertaining and fun for our players to enjoy, they're going to continue playing the game and they're going to continue tuning in and watching esports. And it's our challenge as a company to continue to delight and entertain them, and that's what we're going to be focused on. I think another area that has improved a ton over the past couple of years is the art of shoutcasting. I think shoutcasting used to be seen as something that people kind of did on the side, and it's really turned into a full-blown kind of career.
What do you think the next immediate obstacle in spreading awareness will be for you guys?
I think one unique challenge we have in Europe is, like, you look at the sports landscape, and whether you're in Spain, Germany, France, if you watch football during the World Cup, people cheer in their native language. They watch the broadcast in their native language. It's covered in their local newspapers and local media. So I think one challenge we have in Europe is a lot of our high quality content is still limited to English. And I think that is making it more difficult for players in very big markets like Spain or like France to really get into it as deeply as they could if there were high quality experiences in their own language. So we're going to be investing more time and efforts to work with partners to try to level up that experience.
How do you feel about normal media, mainstream media's handling of esports?
I think at the end of the day, it's important to consider that mainstream media, like their audience is the mainstream. And so they need to present topics and ideas in a way that is really understandable for a very broad mass audience. So I think it's all about educating, and I think for mainstream media, they need to understand why this matters to their audience and why this is actually a big deal. And I think that takes time. It takes time with anything, and we're just a couple of years in terms of where we are with League Esports, and our goal is to continue to make this more and more relevant for our own players. And if that ends up being relevant for a mainstream media or mainstream audience, like, great, but we're going to continue to focus on our players.
Well, one last question to wrap it up, obviously, because you need to have some kind of light key. When playing yourself, do you prefer Teemo on your team or the opposite team?
That is a tough question. So in my Riot Rumble team, we actually have a guy who plays Teemo, and it's one of his better champions. So I'd have to say, like, in order for us to win, like, the guy should play whichever champions they're the best at. But typically, I'm actually, this might be controversial, but I'm pretty indifferent towards Teemo. I don't love him. I certainly don't count the times he dies. He's just one of many champions in our game.
Thank you very much for joining us. It was a pleasure to talk to you. This was League Magazine. For more on the Spring Split Finals, stay tuned. Thank you.